Have you ever walked into a store, picked up a perfume, and wondered why one costs $50 and another costs $300? Or better yet, why some smell just okay and others feel like a whole personality? Today, we're breaking down the 3 fragrance categories that every perfume lover should know. That is designer, niche, and indie. Once you learn these differences, you'll never shop the same again. Back to New Blooms. It's your girl Brittany Rose here, your fragrance fairy godmother, here to help you explore scent like a true queen. If you've ever been overwhelmed by all the perfume options out there, today's video is going to simplify everything. So let's start with designer fragrances. And designer fragrances are made by fashion brands like Dior, Chanel, Gucci, Saint Laurent, and Marc Jacobs, etc. One thing that I really had to learn when it came to understanding the difference between the types of perfume businesses or houses, so to say, is that I thought designer was going to be the most expensive one, but really you're going to see niche is the expensive ones. But right now we are talking about designers. I actually find designers to be in the middle road. So, got my notes right here. Often released in large quantities and sold in department stores and online retailers. So you have your Sephora, your Ulta, your Macy's, all of these places, Nordstrom's. You can get these ones anywhere, and I definitely will say that is a big pro to them, is that you know that if you like a perfume, a designer perfume, that 9 times out of 10, a major retailer, department store is going to have it, and it's going to be readily available online. They're designed for mass appeal. The goal is to please a broad audience. So that also can mean a lot of people will have your perfume because they also have that access. That also can mean a lot of people will have your perfume because they also have that access to it. To follow trends, sweet gourmands, fresh florals, fruity blends. But what I really find with designer ones is there are a lot of florals, and they have the musk scent profiles, so I don't see a lot of super sweet gourmands in the designer world, and if they are, there's always some type of floral involved. And so they commonly use safe scent profiles with synthetic ingredients to cut costs and increase longevity, which makes lots of sense because since it's made for such a huge, mass of people, they're going to make the most they can for the best dollar they can. These are best for everyday wear, gifting, and people who love luxury names. So if you're a brand name girly, you're going to love designer fragrances. And it's an affordable entry to the luxury world, often priced from $60 to $150. And I have found that to be true. Some of my designer fragrances, I should have brought them down. I'm gonna have to make a follow-up video of my designer fragrances and show you each type that I have, because I do have niche, I have designer, and I have indie. Okay, so some of these examples of designer fragrances are Chanel Coco Mademoiselle, Dior Sauvage, YSL Libre, Valentino Born in Roma. Just think, if they have a clothing line or if they're a fashion brand, they 9 times out of 10 have a perfume, and sometimes they're great. I really love Valentino Born in Roma. Versace, I believe it's Dylan Purple Perfume. I could be saying that completely wrong, but that one smells really good. Jimmy Choo, I Want You smells really good. Carolina Herrera, Her Good Girl smells really good. That's actually a really good gourmand, but there is some florals in there. And yeah, so it's a really nice way to feel luxurious on a budget. They often have ranging sizes, so you can have your big bottles on the higher end, and then you have your samplers, which you'll see that I have samples of my designer fragrances. And don't get me wrong, I love them, but as I mentioned in the beginning, with them having such a wide, massive audience to appeal to, it can be very easy to get into the smelling like other people. Like I remember Burberry Goddess and Burberry Her being very popular at one point in time, and like every other post in the Facebook group would be about Burberry Her or Burberry Goddess. So if everyone's talking about it, it's safe to say a lot of people have that scent. So if you like to be unique, designer may not be your favorite, but with the beautiful act of layering, you can really zhuzh up the designer ones and you can make every scent unique to you. It doesn't matter how many people have it. How you layer it is always going to be different, and your body chemistry and all of that. So like I said, designer is really good if you just want a luxury feel, if you want a name brand, and they do tend to last long. Valentino Born in Roma is my longest lasting one that I have enjoyed yet, and so I'll be doing some designer reviews coming up. Okay, now we are going to move on to our niche fragrance, and let me tell you, the niches have me in a niche. These are some of the most luxurious, unique, long-lasting, like you can tell that these are the people that are into fragrance just for fragrance. So niche fragrances are created by fragrance houses that specialize in perfumery, not fashion. So they don't make clothes, they don't make anything else, they just make perfume. They prioritize quality, creativity, and storytelling over popularity. They often feature rare ingredients like oud, ambergris, or saffron. And there is limited in production. You're less likely to smell like someone else. So with niche, you get these really pure, strong, long-lasting, projecting scents. There's the Homage House. There's Parfums de Marly, where it has two of my favorite perfumes, which is Delina exclusive and Valaya exclusive. And I have decants of them because I just love them. So like, as a disclaimer, as you get on your scent journey and as you find your signature scents and as you find what scents that make you happy, Lord, it's a wormhole. Because once you get into the niches and you get good quality perfume, you might even look at some designers like, I don't know about that. So it is nice that you're less likely to smell like someone else because of the rarity of these ones. So this price point is higher, from $150 to $500 up, but you're truly paying for the craftsmanship. Like my favorite perfumes, like I mentioned, the exclusives, Valaya and Delina, they are like $400 a big bottle. Hence why I have the decants. And I'm definitely going to be giving you maybe a perfume tour. But they are more intense, layered compositions, and some evolve dramatically over time. Like my favorite ones that I keep mentioning, Valaya and Delina exclusive, they have this beautiful bright opening, but then they dry down to this creamy, woody, it's so elevated. It smells so good. Another one of my favorite, I have two from Creed. This is another pricey one, but the quality, the projection, the longevity is unmatched. So my favorite from them is Delphinus and Centaurus. And as I mentioned before, they have like stories to them. These two have like the best scent. Like the descriptions, and it takes you on a story. And I should just be having my phone so I can read them to you, but my point here is to like get the info to you so you can be better prepared when it comes to your scent journey. So as I said, we have Creed, Delphinus, and Centaurus. If you like warm, spicy yet borderline sweet smells, those are made for masculine leaning, but for me, liking spice, and I can always layer vanilla over a spice, it also had like a softness to it. I made a body oil out of my Centaurus sample, Her name is Nina Poole. If you look her up on TikTok, she has so many hacks for us to increase the longevity of our perfumes. But she has a hack where you mix your sample of perfume into like 1 milliliter of vitamin E. And, you know, she can tell you the story. But when I tell you that with it being made from a niche perfume, it was Centaurus, not only did it last long, but the oil itself projected even longer. So that just shows the quality. I had like 1 millimeter of this sample and it made my oil smell good for months on end. So niche fragrance houses are really good to invest in, especially once you get over the initial buying craze that tends to come with starting your fragrance journey. Like, you try your dupes, you try your less expensive, you try your more expensive, and by the time you're ready to invest in your tried and trues, which is what I feel like I'm coming down to now. I've had my fun, I've done the shopping, I found my favorites, which are Blanche Bete, Valaya exclusive, Delina exclusive, Wedding Silk Santal by Miss Kayali, Miss Mona Katan, or Katan. And there are a few other favorites I have, but those ones I mentioned are ones that I would like to have big versions. And I just treated myself to Wedding Silk Santal so I can check one off my list. Now, if I could just keep on moving up, and either being gifted and or treating myself to those when the time is right. Niches are those you want to invest in something you know and love with these. So the target audience for niche fragrances are collectors, scent connoisseurs, and those seeking uniqueness. When you don't want to smell like someone, but you want to smell elevated, you want it to be long lasting, niche is your way. And believe me, if budget is not a problem, you're going to have fun with niche fragrances because there is such a wide range. You want to go to places like Nordstrom to get some of these. I noticed some more upscale stores have more niche fragrances. Also, Sephora and Ulta can have some too, so they can also be in retailers, but I do find not everywhere carries these. So some examples I mentioned Creed Aventus, Byredo, Gypsy Water, I could be saying that wrong. Then there's Baccarat Rouge 540, Perfumes de Marly. All of those can be a niche. So if it's not, like I said, the easiest way between niche and designer is designers make clothes and or their designer name brand in clothing or fashion. Niche is a perfume houses that only do perfume. And I always thought, as I said earlier, I thought designer was going to be more expensive because it's, designer brand, but niche is the priciest out of all three. And that leads us to wrapping up with indie fragrances. So indie fragrances are often handmade or small batch by independent perfumers or studios. They're super creative, experimental, and often deeply personal. These brands often don't have huge marketing budgets. They grow through word of mouth. And let me tell you, this is where the groups come in. This is why I always reference them. I have been on my indie testing and reviewing phase, and everything I just said is super true. Like, I am in one group that has 1,000 people. I think I am in another one that has 1,000 or close to that. She might even have 2. And then I'm in another one that has 354. So you have to think, these women are starting these businesses, and once at least 1 or 2 people, if 2 people say that your perfume or your product is good or amazing, it is like wildfire in the perfume community. So to see these women build up these communities and have tried and true fans of their scents so early in the game, like the one Moments by Care that I've mentioned and that I review, they just started this year in February, and I believe, is it their group that has the 1,000? I could be wrong. I'm in 3 ones that I can put a name to. But yeah, it is really cool to see how fast they can grow by word of mouth without these huge budgets. So a lot of these use natural or cruelty-free ingredients. Some lean into herbal, resinous, or raw blends. Raw blends. And this is great for those who want a fragrance no one else is wearing, or wants to support a small business. It can be your hit or miss, but when it hits different. Often mid-range pricing from $40 to $150 depending on the size and the sourcing. And some examples are imaginary authors, like I mentioned, Moments by Care. I actually have the right pronunciation. I have that of a new company that I just found. It's Miragia, or Miragia. I think it's Miragia. I just said I had the right one. Miragia is how she said it. And she is one that I found, them and Moments by Care lean towards the cruelty-free, clean products. And that is such a nice thing to see. And supporting the small businesses, knowing you're supporting another woman-owned business, is also a blessing in that as well. But when I said when it hits different. Let me show you. I have one that I can actually show you. Okay, so this is like the beautiful thing that you can find with indies. You can find very specific things you're looking for. So a little long story short, one of my favorite scents when I was growing up was the brown sugar fig from Bath and Body Works. That has been discontinued. So I bet you would imagine how surprised I was when I stumbled upon Moments by Care and I found that they had a sweet vanilla fig perfume. And when I tell you this hits like it lasts all day, that's one of the things that I look for in my perfume. I want to have projection. I don't want to have it so bad that whoever comes around me is like choking on my perfume. However, I do want to be able to have a nice scent trail, right? I want someone to remember me by having a pleasant smell and they just wish they could keep smelling me. I have never found sweet vanilla fig anywhere else. And then it also, because they're so small and curated, I've seen people ask them to make remakes of certain scents, or they say a scent that they like and they make it for them. They even, Moments by Care had mixers where you could choose your own scents. And I also want to say too, any brand that I say that I like, or like I'm talking about these businesses, nobody's paying me. I'm not sponsored to do any of these. Although if perfume houses, if you're watching and you want to, hit me up at newblooms@gmail.com, spelled like the channel, because I love to talk about perfume and I'd be happy to talk about yours. It's just really cool to see the creativity that you can have. And I have to be honest, it feels super exclusive to have an indie brand. Like I have a few that from all companies. I'm still waiting on my Miragia's package to come in. I got some scented body oils from her, but I'm already ready to make my next order, because that's how excited you can get from reading the reviews. But more importantly, you know that not everybody has these brands. Like I know not a lot of people are going to be walking around with sweet vanilla fig, and you know, not a lot of people will be able to replicate my layers because I have a lot of indies thrown in. So on the other side of that, when it doesn't hit, it doesn't. Like there have been some that I bought, and one of the things that I noticed with some of the brands is that they can get too into storytelling when it comes to a scent, to the point where you get lost in the story and you don't get the scent, or they have like way too many notes in it and your nose is trying to figure out, okay, what am I smelling? Like, I've had that happen with a few scents that I bought, and I always highly suggest, if you don't love the notes that a perfume has, and if you're unsure if you will love it, try to find a decant, which is a sample, a smaller sample, before you go for a big bottle, because that is the number one way to not use your money wisely and not love your perfume. You want to love your perfume if you're going to spend your money on it. So this is where the perfume groups come in that are awesome, because you can buy decants. A lot of the indie ones that I have samples of them, and it's like I'm getting to experience the brand without having to wait for a restock. And this is like the one con of having the indies, or I don't want to call it a con, but you know, it's not, if you're somebody who wants to buy something today, an indie brand might not be for you, because sometimes with them being such a small business, they sell out really fast. Sometimes they don't restock for a week or 2 weeks. If they go on vacation, you know, there's no production going on, and that's to be expected with a small business. But if you're like ready to buy something, you might have to pick a niche or designer, because unless you live like close to one of these, which I know not a lot of them have like brick and mortars, there's some type of shipping process, and you know, you're kind of definitely taking that hit or miss chance if you haven't smelled it first through a decant. So, which leads me to a funny story. I'm not going to keep you too long here, but there are these things called the Hunger Games, the perfume Hunger Games. And I have experience 2 so far. And that is another thing that can happen with these indie brands, is because they're so popular, because they're so word of mouth, because social media and their products, and a lot of these women are really good at cultivating community, that it creates this buzz for when they do drop, and then that's what they call them, or restock. And you have to like literally have your finger ready on your phone to be ready to buy, or you will literally watch your item get bought right out of your cart. So just keep that in mind. I definitely love me a good indie, and if you find one that you love and you can sample or try from someone else, I definitely suggest you supporting them too. It actually feels good, you know, seeing that you're supporting a family, or like I said, another woman in business. So that is what we have designer, niche, and indie. And now you know which 3 fragrance, I should say, buckets you can buy from. Designer you can get right away at most stores. They also have fashion. Niche are purely perfume only, but you're going to get some really luxurious, elevated, unique experiences. And then you have your indie, where you also get super unique, exclusive, fresher made, healthier, less chemically made things, because they are made in smaller batches and made by some people who are health conscious and wanting to be more natural. So you get more flexibility there. The other thing with indie too is, along with designer, it can have a little bit more flexibility in the pricing. So you can get like a few more indie perfumes than you could for one niche, right? Because I looked at my order and I'm like, okay, I have about 4 or 5 perfumes from an indie, that for a good price too, I was okay with that. But I know, like, if I were to want a big size of my niche one, I would have to spend all that money and have one bottle. So it's nice to be able to build your scent wardrobe with indies and designers, and then you can have like your signature scents be your niche ones. So Queen, which fragrance types are you most drawn to? Are you a classic designer lover, a niche connoisseur, or an indie rebel with a nose for adventure? Let's find out together. Grab your copy of The Perfume Playground. It's my signature book that will take you through the world of fragrance like a luxurious tour through a garden of scent. And don't forget to pair it with my signature scent journey, your guided workbook to track your scent likes, dislikes, skin chemistry notes, and build your own personal wardrobe. And good thing for you, I put them in a bundle where you will save because you bought both of them together. The link is in the description, and I thank you so much for watching. Comment some roses below to let me know you made it to the end, and let me know, are you a fragrance connoisseur? Are you a classic designer girl? Are you an indie lover? Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one.